All right, guys, Thursday the 7th of May, and Tush coming at you. First of all, thanks very much, everybody, for the birthday wishes yesterday, both on Facebook, by phone, and in Alin's case, by video. So thanks very much, everybody, for that. Had a good day yesterday. Didn't spend very much time out in the garage, however. It was too cold out here, so today we're going to fix that. We have moved the bike outside. We're expecting some rain in the near future, so I've got it covered up. Hopefully it'll be okay out there for a bit. So what we plan on doing is cranking the heat up out here. It's only 10 degrees. It's about 11, 12 degrees Celsius right now, so it's about 54 degrees Fahrenheit. I need to get the garage up to about 65 to be able to paint out here, so we're going to close the garage door up. We're going to get the heater fired up, and hopefully we'll bring this up to temperature so we can do some painting this afternoon. We've got to get these parts that I sandblasted the other day into paint, so that's what the plan is for today. So like I said, we'll crank the heat up and we'll get out here in a little bit, hopefully. Alright guys, a little warmer out here now. We've got the parts all cleaned off and hung up. As far as the black parts are concerned, got them hanging over here, taped up. It is almost 70 now, which is good. So those are ready to go. Silver parts are over here. So we're going to primer these, and we are going to rattle can these aluminum. So we've got the dipstick here, we've got the clutch slave line, and we've got the backing plate for the brake booster. Then I got a couple pieces over here that are just going to be laid flat. They're not going to be hung. The solenoid with the black bits taped off, and this is the dip switch for the headlights. So those are ready to go, cleaned up. So we'll mix up some paint and we'll get ready to spray. Gonna have to turn the heater off because my heater shares my plug with my compressor, unfortunately. So we'll have to turn the heat off temporarily anyway. All right, guys, quick update for you. We've got a combination of aluminum painted parts over here and black painted parts on display, just drying away nicely, so they all seem to paint up okay. So while those are drying, we're going to now move on to another little project on the table, and that was to separate the U-joints out of the hubs and axles, the sliding axles. So we've got 4 U-joints to remove in order to get these sliding axles cleaned up. We're going to clean up those diff flanges a little bit too. As I'd mentioned, I just want to clean them. I don't want to paint them at this particular point, but I do want to replace the U-joints, so we're going to remove these U-joints first, which will probably take a little bit of bashing with a hammer. So I've cleaned off the workbench over there, so we'll get busy over there. So just going ahead to remove the U-joints, and I just wanted to mention there's a couple different snap rings used on these. I particularly like this style. They're a little easier just to get out with a pair of needle nose pliers. Just basically squeeze them together and lift them out of the retaining ring. And then there's the snap ring plier type. It's a little hard to see here, but you need a set of snap ring pliers to get those out, and I've got a few different types of sets here to do that. So we'll go ahead and do that. We've got a impact socket here to just drive that U-joint down, and after we remove the other circlip on the other side, we'll just remove the cap off, and then we'll push it back this way, remove the cap off. Then we'll do that on all 4 sides, and we'll be able to remove the U-joint. So that's what we're up to. Okay guys, so we removed the circlips, and the next thing we've done is we've just taken our socket, wherever that is, here, and we just punched this cap through. So actually you can see it here. We just punched the cap through here, and you can see it coming out the other side. So what you want to do is grab something like a pair of water pump pliers or a pair of vice grips, and you can just pry that cap right off. That's what we're going to do now. And just in case somebody's going to bring it up, I'm sure on the video, there's more than one way to skin a cat, so they say. If you have a large enough vise, and which I don't, this is my largest vise that I have, you can generally get 2 types of sockets, a pusher socket and then a receiver socket where you can just push it. It's kind of like installing bushings, more or less, or removing bushings. Basically pushing into the void on the larger socket. So you'd arrange the larger socket on this side, squeeze that in a vise, and you would squeeze the cap out into the void in the larger socket. So you can also do it that way if that floats your boat. Alright, there's the U-joint caps, and they're filled with needle bearings. You can see this one's pretty rusty inside. So this one was suffering from a severe lack of lubrication. So anyway, those are out. There's one with the needle bearings still in, or the needles still in, installed. So anyway, we'll move on to the next one. Alright, moving on to the hub side, and another different type of circlip. This one doesn't have the funny little bends in it. This is just a straight circlip. So again, a good pair of pliers will get those out fairly easily, so we'll go ahead and remove those now, and we'll do the same thing. We'll try to maybe take you along in a little bit of a video. I don't have a stand tripod for my camera here, so maybe I can set you up as an overhead or something like that. I'll try to see what I can do. No promises. Alright guys, we'll try to do one of these together. So we've got the hub on the table with the sliding axle. First thing we're going to do is clean it with some brake cleaner, just so it's not so greasy. So there's a million ways to do this, but this is the way I do it. This one's not too dirty and it looks fairly shiny. So I think this hub has had some work done to it, or it's been replaced fairly recently in the car's life. And if I recall, I've got the service records for this car. I know the guy was having some problems with the hubs, so this is probably one of the rebuilt hub units. It's kind of suspect though, because I can see some of the threads here, which is kind of unusual on these hubs. It's a little disconcerting to me that I can see these threads at the bottom, which is kind of not usual. So I'm not sure whether this hub was set up properly or not. Anyway, we're not going back with these hubs, so no big deal about worrying about it too much. Alright, so these are the snap ring type circlips. So we're going to use a pair of these to get those out. These don't look like they'd be too much of an issue. Don't want to speak too soon though. Sometimes they can be really rusted in there. I want to hold you here while I get those out. It's going to be trying my patience, so to speak, so I'll bring you back once those circlips are out. Alright, we got the snap rings out successfully. That was a big pain in the butt, but we got them out. So we've got the hub here on a, and I don't know if I mentioned this already or not, I might put myself off track with that circlip problem. Then we've got a wooden board here just with a hole drilled in it for a spot to drive the U-joint down into. So we got a big hammer, we got an impact socket. All we're going to do is we're going to knock this down. Actually, let's take this off first. We'll knock this down and remove the cap, then we'll knock it back the other way. That's the intent anyway. We'll see how we do. That's lined up. See if this moves okay. It's pretty easy actually. Okay, so you see how the caps come up now on this side? So I'll just take my vice grips. You can see that cap hopefully. Take my vice grips. We'll just remove this cap. Try not to disturb the needle bearings if you can help it. Don't dump them all over your workbench. Alright, there's one. So now we're going to punch this back down the other way and we'll remove the other cap. Line it up on your hole. Okay, same thing. Grab the cap, twist it off. There you go. And should be able to remove that. There you go. So there's that that piece removed, ready to be cleaned up. Okay, then we'll do the same thing to remove the U-joint from the hub side. Line it up, big socket. If you can help it, try not to go all the way through. Makes it more difficult to line up this. Tap it back a little bit. Okay. Last one. Push it back the other way. Socket off, hopefully. We'll get it off in a minute. Get that other cap off. Pull it out. And there's your U-joint removal and the empty hub. Alright guys, that's U-joint removal. It's the way I do it anyway. Big hammer. Seems to work for me. Alright guys, here's the bits of the sliding axles. So next steps on these are to clean them up and degrease them a bit more before they go in the sandblasting cabinet. When I do put them in the cabinet, I'm going to make sure that I tape up the spline section. So the spline section's here, and the tube section on this side we're going to stuff full of newspaper. Then we'll obviously clean that out with brake cleaner and compressed air when it comes out of the sandblaster. Just one note, there is no worry about getting these back together in the right orientation, as there's a larger spline. I don't know if you can see it here. One larger spline that corresponds with a larger spline in the tube here. You can see it there. So these will align without issue. Just thought I'd make note of that, because I know I was concerned the first time I did these that I wouldn't be able to get them lined back up again properly, but that larger spline helps you with that. So there you go. So I think that's it as far as parts are concerned. I'm not going to bring you back after this video to show you the clean parts. I will upload this tonight so you can see where I'm at, and then we'll get back out here tomorrow and figure out where we're going to go from here. Good news is the hardware stores are open starting Saturday, I believe, so that means that I should be able to go get some sandpaper and some Bondo, so that will be helpful to move me forward in my project, so that's a good thing. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Talk to you later.